So Kamala Harris is expected to launch her White House run on Martin Luther King Day, which is so insulting considering lots of the policies that she supports run contrary to Martin Luther King Jr.'s ideas. But she thinks that she follows in his footsteps, standing up for black people and people that are oppressed, whatever, even though she supports policies that are exactly opposite. But let's not get distracted here. So I'm just going to bash the shit out of her. I'm just going to go through the issues that she has recorded on ontheissues.org and just systematically pick her apart and show how she is one of the most god-awful candidates ever. And this is just going to hand Trump the election. If you know the meme, do you want Trump 2020? Because this is how you get Trump 2020, by just running god-awful candidates. Elizabeth Warren already announced her run a couple days ago, and she's almost the exact same views as Kamala Harris. They're like cookie cutters. These Democrats just think in a hive mind. NPCs programmed to think the exact same way every single time on almost every single issue, with some variants, obviously not exactly the same 100%. But they're so similar that it's extremely hard, if not impossible, to tell them apart. You think Democrats would have learned why they lost in 2016. You think they would have figured it out by now. It's now almost 2 years. So next month in February will be 2 years since Trump took office. You think they would have figured it out that running god-awful candidates who are wrong in almost every single issue is not the way to beat Trump. Even though I hate Bernie Sanders, they did poll after poll. Bernie Sanders would have beaten Donald Trump. And Bernie Sanders is pretty freaking awful. But he would have beat him. But no, they had to go for a worse candidate than Sanders. They went for Clinton, and then they lost. And now they're just throwing out these god-awful candidates like Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris. Cory Booker might throw his hat in the ring. And let's just get into it, shall we? So Kamala Harris on abortion, rated a 100%, indicating a pro-choice voting record. Pro-choice meaning pro-murder. They just like to phrase it differently because pro-choice sounds better. So you might as well call it that. So, okay, cool. What an awesome candidate. I'm sure that's going to win over so many people. And it wouldn't be a big deal if they only did abortion in case of rape, incest, or where the mom's life is in danger and it was only a couple of thousand here and there, like in extreme circumstances. I'd be willing to compromise, and I think that's acceptable, even though, again, I hate abortion. In ideal, I would never want it to be used ever, but I'm willing to compromise on those specific circumstances. I think that's reasonable. But they don't just abort just thousands of babies every year. It's millions. It's tens of millions every single year. It is just a mass slaughter of people who cannot defend themselves at all. And most of the time, it's not justified. It's not because it was incest. It's not because the woman's body or health or life is in danger. It's 99.9% of the time, it's not that situation. It's that, oh, I don't want to take care of it. Oh, I was irresponsible. Oh, I couldn't keep my legs closed. Oh, my partner didn't use a condom. Like, I'm just fucking stupid. And I'm going to kill someone because of it. But Kamala Harris doesn't care. Kamala Harris is an NPC who thinks the exact same way as all the other radical Democrats. 100%. Like, not even like 90%. Like, she is just the top. She is the most pro-choice you could ever be. So much, in fact, that she supports public funding for abortion services. Another issue. Let's say, like, I don't like abortion, but if you want to privately fund it, that's your own problem. That's on you, and that murder's on you. So there's a different dimension of it, that not only does she support killing babies, literally in every single circumstances available because she's rated 100%, but she supports your tax money to fund these things. That's different than if someone else wants to pay for it. It's still bad, but it's at least it's not my money that I worked hard for going to something that I think is so immoral and awful. But no, she wants to do that. She wants to take taxpayer money from people who don't like abortion and then use it to kill people. Again, federal funding, man, she just loves spending money. Democrats just love spending money on killing unborn babies. They just love it. They seem to like get off by it because they seemingly do it every chance they get. Man, I can't spell. Okay, on budget of the economy, $20 billion for struggling homeowners during the mortgage crisis. So she supports the government, again, using your taxpayers to bail out fucking idiots who can't keep track of their own mortgage. If you default on your mortgage, if you have to foreclose whatever, that's your own problem. Yeah, it sucks. I'm not saying it doesn't suck. But the government is not your nanny. The government is not your parent. The government is not your get out of jail free card. You messed up, you pay the consequences. But no, she doesn't like that. We need to help these people. We need to spend billions and billions of dollars when we're already trillions of dollars in debt. We need to spend even more money to help these people get out of mortgages that they should have never entered in the first place. They're so dumb, they entered a mortgage that they should have known they could not afford. But they just don't care. It's all about me. They're all narcissistic. Me, I want. They never stop and say, hey, maybe we can't really afford this. Let's not do that. Again, taxpayers paying for other people's personal problems. Kamala Harris on civil rights. Oh, I forgot. Let's make a point about that. So, supports big government. What about the fiscally responsible people who don't default on their mortgage, who don't have to foreclose, who didn't struggle because they actually made wise economic choices instead of eating out all the time and spending all this money on stuff they don't need? They don't get any help. Kamala Harris on civil rights. Fight for equal rights for all, except she doesn't. She supports the first class and second class tier system that Black Lives Matter supports. A kind of caste system, if you will, kind of like the Hindu caste system, where minorities and women, or minority women, those are the very top. So, of course, she makes a caste system where she's at the top because she's a minority woman. Of course, what a coincidence, right? She wants a tier caste system made in the U.S. with minority women at the top, minority men in the middle, white women under that, and then white men at the bottom. She does not fight for equal rights for all. She hates white people. She hates white men in particular. And she constantly goes out of her way as a senator to hurt white men and white people in particular. She supports Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter does not want black people being arrested for crimes that they committed in order to lower the stats on the amount of black people arrested for crimes, to lower the amount of black people who commit crimes are recorded. If we just don't arrest people for these crimes, then the stats will go down and then it will equal out with white people. Because that's the only reason why the black crime statistics are so high. It's because we live in a white supremacist capitalist patriarchy. It's not that blacks commit an overwhelmingly majority of the crime, including violent crime. No, it's because the cops are racist. And we have systemic racism. And that's why we have so many black people being convicted of all these crimes and being in jail. So we're going to give them a free pass in order to balance out the statistics. That's not equal rights. That's a tier caste system where if you're a certain race, then you are allowed to commit crimes and there's no harm coming to you at all. But if you're a white person, do it? No, we don't need to lower those stats for white people committing crimes, so we're going to convict you anyway. Don't believe me that Kamala supports Black Lives Matter? I mean, just all you do is look it up.
Let's fight.
I don't want to hear you talk. It's just god awful. But what a surprise! Proclaiming Black Lives Matter. Well, what does Black Lives Matter? What is their manifesto? What do they want? Well, again, just Google it. It's all right here. I found that in 2 seconds without even trying. It really isn't that hard. She supports Black Lives Matter. You can look up their policies and what they believe. And you think that I'm exaggerating with the Hindu caste system with black people at the top and everyone else at the bottom? You didn't think that's exaggeration? Look at their manifesto. Look at that link I just put there. The website I just pulled up. She supports that. She doesn't support equal rights for all. So I need to spell privileges. There's no spell check. Privileges allowed. I don't even have word work on this, do I? Doesn't say anything about corporations. What a coincidence, because Democrats love big corporations. Their campaigns are fueled by huge donations by all these corporations who want all these tax breaks. So then they give money to politicians who will give them tax breaks. So they give money to politicians. The politicians get elected, and the politicians enact all these tax loopholes, so the corporations will save money. They both help each other out. They don't give a shit about you or me. Kamala Harris on crime. Don't require cops to wear body cameras. How? Wouldn't that be a good thing? I mean, if she honestly thinks we live in a white capitalist patriarchy or white supremacist capitalist patriarchy, then wouldn't she want the cops to wear body cameras at all times so they can convict all these racist white supremacist cops that are killing and murdering and beating up innocent black people? Wouldn't she want body cameras on these cops so we could prosecute them and put them in jail and stop black people from being innocently beaten by cops? But she doesn't. She doesn't want the cops to wear body cameras. Well, what a coincidence. It's like body cameras justify what the police do. It's like the body cameras would prove that the police are right and that the black people are actually committing violent crimes. It's like when Black Lives Matter cry about a black person getting shot by police, then they have body camera footage of this black person shooting at cops, endangering other people, supporting the cops' justification in shooting them. Well, of course Black Lives Matter activists don't want cops to wear body cameras. What a coincidence. Again, falls in line with she wants black people to be allowed to commit crimes and no repercussions. Body cameras would help bring in repercussions for these black criminals, but of course she doesn't want that. What a coincidence. Kamala on drugs. Recognize the war on drugs was a failure. Well, that's actually correct. That's one of the few things I agree with you with. The war on drugs is a complete failure. We should end it immediately. We never should have done it in the first place. We should incarcerate people for drugs. People should be able to use whatever drugs they want and suffer the consequences of what they put in their own body. They are consenting adults. They are consenting to putting whatever they want in their system. They suffer the consequences. The government should not nanny people and tell you what you should or should not put in your own body. So that's actually something I agree with her with. Interesting, she puts on focusing on combating transnational gangs, but yet she doesn't want a wall to stop out MS-13 to cross from Mexico to U.S. to commit crime? I don't think she really cares about transnational gangs. What about these cops that are fighting these transnational gangs? Wouldn't she want them to wear body cameras? No, she doesn't want that either. Well, that's kind of weird. It's not really anything specific. It's just kind of weird that she says she wants to focus on combating transnational gangs, but yet take steps that would help transnational gangs. It's like she doesn't really give a shit. What a coincidence. A politician saying something and doing something completely opposite. Oh, that never happens. on education, ensure access to a high-quality public education. Well, that's just a generic statement that every single politician in the history of the world says. That sounds all good and nice, doesn't it? But do you see public education in Democratic-run cities and states? Do you see how good quality public education in California is, where she's a senator? It's complete and utter shit. It's a laughingstock. It's a joke. Again, she says all these nice things. Focus on combating transnational gangs, ensure access to high-quality public education, innovative smart solutions to climate change, and yet in all of these issues, either she does steps that are exactly opposite of what that goal was, or it sounds nice, like innovative smart solutions, but then those solutions would be devastating for the economy or people's lives, or all in the name of combating climate change. Now, I fully agree that we should do major steps to combat climate change. I'm not one of those people who thinks it's a hoax. It actually does exist, and we can do a video another time if you want me to go through the science as to why I believe that climate change exists, but that's another topic for another time. It takes a while. But I don't support the solutions that Democrats are proposing, like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez saying, "Oh, we should have all smart cars, electricity-powered smart cars, all within 12 years." It's like, no, there is no way you could possibly do that in that short amount of time. That would just devastate the economy. That would devastate millions of people's jobs. That would be impossible for people who like can't afford to buy a new car. Or what are you gonna do? What if they still drive their regular car and don't buy a smart car? What are you gonna do? Arrest them? You know how much devastating that's going to be for families, for people who can't go to work because they're arrested because they won't buy a smart car? Like, just crap like that. Where, like, it's not really a smart solution, Kamala. The solutions that you and the other Democrats coming up with are not smart at all. On the environment, fight to protect our coasts. Well, have you seen California coast? It's completely disgusting. But what are you doing to solve it, Kamala? You don't really seem to give a shit about it, do you? Man, I cannot type. I swear I'm not this bad regularly. Whatever that is. God, that's horrible. Environment, whatever. I'm not gonna waste time with that. Look at these amazing statements on foreign policy. The way to keep us safe is not to keep outsiders out. What kind of... I'm trying to keep the cursing down to a minimum, but can I call that retarded? I mean, that is just retarded. There are outsiders who literally say, like MS-13 and ISIS and all these other groups that want to kill Americans have openly said, like 1 billion times, we want to kill Americans. And she's saying that the way to keep us safe is to not keep them out? How is that not brain dead? There is someone with a knife outside your house saying, I will kill you, and you say, well, in order to be safe, I should let him in. Like, it's crap like that. Where these people are so obsessed with virtue signaling and being perceived as not racist that they will do objectively harmful things to their own constituents in order to do that. And that shows you how much he cares about U.S. citizens. Distinguish Islamic religion from terrorism, okay, whatever. Support standing with the nation of Israel. But Israel has a border wall. And you don't want a border wall. So why do you support Israel? Why do you support, not only support Israel, but you support giving money to Israel for them to build their border wall, but yet we can't have one? Again, the hypocrisy, or if not outright hypocritical, doesn't make any sense. If you think walls are immoral, then shouldn't you not give billions of dollars for another country to build walls? But that's not the issue I have with it. She supports giving billions upon billions upon billions, billions and billions, whatever that song is, billions and billions of dollars to Israel so they can just murder Palestinian children. for them to deny Palestinians their basic human rights. So we can go into a whole, again, a topic for another time of how horrible Israel is to Palestinians. But she funds all that. She funds all of that shit. Both parties love giving money to Israel so they can just carpet bomb school children, all in the name of fighting terrorism. Again, a topic for another time. So supports terrorism, and not only it's not just Israel. Israel's not the only country that we give money to that commits terrorism. There are, in fact, the vast majority of the top recipients of foreign aid that we give commit terrorism against their own citizens or other citizens of other countries. What a coincidence. We don't give foreign aid to, I don't know, Finland, for example. What's a poor country that minds its own business? I don't know. Greece ain't doing so good. Greece. We don't give billions and billions of dollars to Greece to help them with their economy. It's been shit ever since 2008 with the whole financial crisis. No, we don't. No, we don't. Oh, what a coincidence. We give billions and billions of dollars to Israel, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iraq, Egypt, Somalia, Nigeria. That's 7 off the top of my head I could think of. All those countries, complete shitholes. Complete horrible countries to either their own citizens or, in Israel's case, to the Palestinians, to other countries' citizens. All commit terrorism. Every single one of them. Again, a topic for another time. We're delving into topics that, I could be here for like 2 hours if I want to expand on all these topics. Just look up each of those countries' a human rights record and see what they do to their own citizens. Kamala Harris on gun control. No gun ownership for dangerous convicts or mentally ill. Well, practically 99.9% of people agree that dangerous convicts should not own guns. But mentally ill? Well, what does that mean? Well, that's a subjective term. What I consider mentally ill and what someone else considers mentally ill and what the government considers mentally ill and what the scientific experts consider mentally ill could be 4 completely different things. I do not want someone like Kamala Harris defining what is mentally ill in order to deny someone their right to bear arms. Now, that's a very dangerous precedent because governments in the past have done that before. Governments have, one instance I think of is that Russia called someone who was fighting against their corruption, fighting against all breaking of their human rights of the Russian government, they call dissidents mentally ill and insane. Well, is it insane to protest a government whenever they're taking away their rights? Is that the precedent we're using? Kamala Harris wants the government to have the power to call anyone mentally ill for no reason whatsoever, with no evidence whatsoever, because she doesn't care about evidence. We saw it throughout her whole stance in the whole Kavanaugh hearing, how she doesn't care about evidence for anything, for any claims for anything. We have to listen and believe. So she wants the government to have the power to call someone mentally ill for little to no reason at all, and then take away their guns, or not allow them to buy guns. That's a dangerous precedent to give someone in the government that much power, especially someone as dumb as Kamala Harris. Rated 7% by the NRA, indicating a very pro-gun control record, so basically 93% against the NRA. Horrible. She supports the March for Our Lives. She supports banning AR-15. She wants to ban all those scary-looking guns with pistol grips and detachable magazines, all those scary, evil guns that even though rifles only kill like 500 people a year in this country, and when I say rifle kills, I mean people with rifles, obviously. But yet, like blunt objects kill like way more than just rifles, but yet you want to ban scary-looking quote-unquote assault rifles, which would basically start the Second American Civil War. I already did a video on why simply banning AR-15s would start the Second American Civil War. So she wants to get millions of people killed in the Second American Civil War in order to save the literally 500 people a year killed by rifles. How? Save 500, which is good. Obviously, I don't want anyone killed by rifles. But to save 500, we will kill millions. And you want this person in charge. You want this person to be president. Holy shit. Supports restrictions. Oh, I'd love to see all the restrictions. We're running out of time. It's a pretty long video already. God, still so much more to go. Okay, let's speed it up here. I want to wrap this up. Companies, she loves Obamacare. Horrible idea. Companies should provide contraception under Obamacare. So again, taxpayers' money for contraception. Why can't you just buy it yourself? Oh, I'm too poor to afford contraception. Then don't have sex. Save up for it. Save up for anything else that you save money for. They're not that fucking expensive. It's really not that hard. You're telling me you're so poor you can't afford contraception. Then don't have sex. Sex is not a right. You're not owed sex. If you can't afford it, then save up money. Put away money, and then eventually you'll be able to save to pay for it. But to think that companies should have to provide this to you is, again, the government telling companies how they should run their business and telling the companies you have to give your employees this free shit, which is not even close to being like necessary. Like a blood transfusion. Yeah, it would be cool if health insurance covered emergency bills, emergency room visits, so you can have a blood transfusion to save your life. Understandable. Again, should I think the government should tell the company you have to do that? No, not really. I really don't like the government telling companies how to do anything with giving healthcare to the employees. I think companies should be able to provide whatever healthcare they want, and then people will they will want to work for companies that have the best healthcare. The market will decide. The markets will make those companies that have shitty healthcare, they'll go out of business because no one wants to work for them because of shitty healthcare. And the companies that have good healthcare, they'll get all the workers. They'll get more money to hire more people to get more better healthcare. Let the markets decide. Let the markets kick out the crappy companies. And we're going to wrap this up here with undocumented immigrant is not a criminal. She was a DA prosecutor, and yet she doesn't understand the laws that when you enter this country illegally, that is a crime. I know she doesn't believe it should be a crime, but by the books, it's still a crime, and it should be a crime for that matter. But she's so much of a virtuous signaling. Ugh, so hard not to curse. So that's why. So again, so it just supports open borders. An undocumented immigrant's not a criminal. They should be able to come over here. Open borders. She thinks the voter IDs are racist, so illegal immigrants can vote. If you check the ID, you're racist. Now look at this. In a nutshell, this is Kamala Harris. Look at all of these awful, awful positions on issues. You put all this together. Let's say Kamala Harris actually got everything she wanted. Like Democrats take control of the presidency in both parts of the Congress. If everyone thought like Kamala Harris and actually did this, the U.S. would be a horrible, terrible place to live in. It would be like Venezuela. It would be like China. It would be like, I don't know, just any one number of routes it could take. It would just be a horrible, horrible place. This is why we cannot let people who think like this be in government. Because right now, the Republicans, which are, again, have their fair share of issues that I criticize all the time, at least they don't support these horrible, horrible policies. Well, they support some of them, like they love terrorism around the globe. They do that. I'm not saying the Republicans are right on every single issue. What I'm saying is Kamala Harris is wrong on literally every single issue except for that one. Which one did I point out? She doesn't like the war on drugs, and she thinks that people should not be incarcerated for drug use. The one thing I agreed with her on this entire list of issues, everything else, she is completely wrong. And not just wrong as in like, well, what's your favorite car? Oh, well, you're wrong. I'm right. Here's why. Like, she's wrong in the fact that if she actually got her way, it would be completely horrible. Millions of people either murdered by abortion or the Second American Civil War. The government would default on its debts because it would be paying for all these ridiculous programs such as bailing out your dumbass neighbors and giving illegal immigrants all these welfare. So default on her debts, the economy would crash. The economy already crashed because of the war, but it would crash a second time because of that. She wants a racist tier caste system. System like apartheid, but just reversed, with black people on top, black people and white people on the bottom. She supports giving money for terrorism. Just what a dystopian, horrible world she wants. And this is why I hate her. I hate people who think like this. They think they're doing good. They think they are virtuous. They think they want to improve the world. And yet their policies are literally exactly the opposite. It would bring so much destruction and suffering in this country if she got her way. And that's why I do not want Democrats in power. I do not want her to be president.